Yo, what's good? I came into some really strong clarity that I've been looking for the answers for a while in regard to social media and how I wanted to use it to share some of the things that I've learned and help others. And I'm really big on helping others, but I'm even bigger on self-care. So I'm just going to start dropping video after video, and hopefully it will help somebody to connect within themselves, space that they know is there, that they've been looking for, but they may be dealing with some blockages. So what I want to talk about today is what I like to call the gap, and in some places it would be a split. And basically what I'm referring to is the whirlwind that most of us deal with after we went through some storm in life. Big storm, little storm, doesn't matter. And where your mind is at that particular point after the storm. We're gonna get into a whole bunch, and I definitely welcome feedback, because then it'll give me more of a direction as to what to talk about. But these are things that I've helped people with through the years, including myself, as a counselor, as a brother, as a friend, as a mentor, as a parent. So just kind of wanted to share it with you guys, because we never really get taught how our brain works. Like all through school, and we all know this. And there's a lot of information out there that's helpful if you can break it down and process what is actually being said to you. So I want to get right to a particular point that you don't always see expressed, and that is the gap. So we'll start with the gap. So the gap is after you've done been through a bunch of stuff, right? Okay, that event is done with and over, and most of the times we think that, okay, we've dealt with it, but we didn't deal with the mental health aspect of it. And what I mean by that is how we internalize what we just went through, the perspective that we have about what it is that we went through. All right, so I'll use myself as an example, and we'll get into these things a little bit more down the line as well. But I was poisoned twice, and that came with a lot of different things, which we can share another time, but so after getting poisoned, my life changed dramatically. Physically, I've always been like super capable, very capable, high energy. And thank God I've restored, to my normal self, probably better than what I was before, because I'm just a little bit more calculated and wiser in age about how to take care of my body. But what it caused was a gap within myself. And what I mean by this gap is, like, all right, I had already healed more or less, because this took years to kind of recover from. I noticed I had lost the edge, or my edge wasn't quite there, far as like my focus and having control over my mind. I'm not a fearful person, never have been. But I started to notice how I would start to second guess things because of what I had been through, right? So that's the first part. You know, when you're over the event, but now you're trying to heal your mind, and you see, oh, I am better. Oh, I can eat that. Oh, I don't have to do that anymore. The gap is how to move forward. That space from which you just had to deal with an event. It could be anything. It could be death. It could be losing a job. It could be, you know, some form of violence that you had to deal with. Whatever the case may be, right? Just something that triggers some type of stress, like some real stress that you had to like really ward off and kind of build through. So I'm a huge fan of neuroscience, and you know, one of the things that happens during the stressful season, our bodies become addicted to or are looking for that stress response where it creates these stress hormones. So you will feel a certain way because you've become accustomed to the stress. So the body will start pulling on you, and then next thing you know, you're having these thoughts. So, and it happens the other way around too. You have these thoughts and then you feel it in the body. So the gap is, how do I move forward? How do I move forward? And it's not even like, like you feel like you've been out of shape and you don't have any plans, but it's just like within yourself, at your core, there is this thing where you had so much connection within yourself, you almost feel like violated, like it's been stolen from you. So that's the gap. Now, how do you deal with the gap? Because people be like, oh, you know, if you meditate, you breathe, you do these things, you write your affirmations, which all do help. They all help. But not if your head, meaning your mind, and your heart, meaning your subconscious, are in alignment with each other. It'll be a disconnect. You'll just be writing, you'll just be praying. You got to be able to connect this within yourself. And this is where the application of faith takes place. You know, there's a lot of things out there on faith, a lot of different perspectives. You know, the one that I like, well, a couple parts that I like in regard to the way faith is explained. Like Paul says, faith is the evidence of the things hoped for, not yet seen. You know, I can break that down, but I'm not going to break it down right now because I don't want this video to get too long. But faith is really essentially what you believe about yourself. That's the blind faith, because that's what it's going to come down to. After you go through this event or whatever, there's going to be a space where you're going to kind of question whether or not you should move forward a certain way. And it's going to take faith for you to be able to move past that fear. Maybe you might not be seeing it as fear, but anything of the unknown without faith, you're going to operate in fear, point blank. Just, it's what it is. It's the unknown. It's that thing that makes you question because you can't see clearly the answer, the darkness, whatever you want to call it, right? And what usually happens after the event and the gap, if you're not able to increase your faith to believe in yourself, certain things about yourself, truthfully, not just on the surface level, but at your core, then you're going to cause a split. And the split is when you think one way, but the emotional response you're getting from your body is another way. Another example, I went through a lot of stuff in certain relationships in my life, whether it be family, co-parent. And as a parent, you know, when you're kind of going through some of these things for your child, you're always trying, or good parents anyway, always trying to find the balance or take the high road for the sake of the child. Now, if you're dealing with someone who isn't taking the high road, and you're having to deal with certain things, but you're trying to stay on this path because of what you know about yourself, it will cause a split. So for me, for example, because I didn't want to get into arguments and fighting and all that, because I was already sick. I was dealing with like trigeminal nerve pain in my face and everything else, and stress with trying to keep a business afloat, amongst other things. I call myself keeping the peace. But all I was doing was just eating that shit, man. I mean, I was just absorbing it. I didn't have any other, I wasn't releasing it healthy. I wasn't analyzing the situation healthy, because one, your emotions are high. It's a lot of stress, you know, two adults that are not getting along, and now there's a child in the mix. But you know you can't go backwards, but you can't figure out how to go forward. That's the gap. This is where your faith is increased. And sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it takes a while for you to get right within yourself to be able to understand that it's only going to be by what you choose to do that's going to bring the results, whether that's good or bad. It's all according to your own thoughts. All according to your own thoughts. The truth of it. Not what you tell everybody else, but what you think and feel and believe when you by yourself. This is the wilderness that they talk about, you know. And at this point in time, you actually have the opportunity to wrestle with yourself. Some of the stuff you've seen in the Bible, but it's been used in a different way, but I'm bringing it straight to a point where you can make it relevant in your day-to-day life, taking out the mystery of what is really being communicated. So that faith thing. All right, so then how do you increase your faith? How much do you know about yourself? Because you got to be honest with yourself first, because most people operate in a fallacy and say facetious things that sound correct because the collective feel like that's what's supposed to go on. You got to be able to go against the grain. That's the narrow road. Because now you need to be able to stand on your own beliefs, on your own knowing. And for the only way for you to know a thing is for you to go through it, be tested, and get the results of what it is, and then do it again. So, like I was saying, you know, so you can go through something where you can't really see your way forward because it's not really just you involved now. Now there's another life involved. Now you got to really think about this and figure out how to move forward past this particular situation to keep yourself from having a split. Telling yourself you're okay, but you ain't okay is the bottom line of it. That's a split. Saying that you're okay and not being okay. Now, as men, and particularly not just men, but for strong people in general, we ain't gonna complain about it. We just gonna work that thing out and keep pushing, which is cool to be stoic. But that still doesn't deal with the fact that you're dealing with a certain level of hurt. Okay, why is that important? I'm not trying to make you all mushy anything, because I'm not a mushy person, but if you aren't really identifying with the truth within yourself about what's going on with you in the situation, meaning, yo, I was bugged out, I feel a certain way about it, but I gotta kind of keep it to myself because of the person I'm dealing with, the environment I'm in, X, Y, and Z. Okay. So you move on, you handle business or whatever, but then now you're trying to create more for yourself. It will make it difficult for you to quote unquote manifest or create more of what you want. The more of those particular situations that you have where you say, I'm okay when you're really not okay. So that causes a split, and what that split does is it doesn't allow you to deal with those emotions, and that causes affliction on the heart. The more afflictions, the heart becomes very calloused. The more callous the heart becomes, then it becomes hardened and cold and numb. Been through every phase of it. And this will make it impossible for you to get what you want out of your life, even if you are a high functioning individual. Why? Because you need the power of your own heart to bring things into existence. The head-heart connection. The way you think and the way you feel about what you think. Now, if you've been telling yourself over and over and over and over you're okay and you're not okay, especially within that gap where you're trying to figure out things and you didn't increase the faith, now you create a false perspective and you can't figure out why you're so angry, why this is going like this. This don't make no sense. I bust my ass, I work hard, I do this, I do that, I do whatever, but you're not getting the results. Gotta come back to yourself. And sometimes it takes a while for you to get to that spot because you have to clear all the noise, because environment matters. And I understand sometimes we're in environments that don't allow us to easily get to these conclusions. But then all I can tell you is it's a greater testimony for who you are and what you're capable of. Okay. Now, what gets in the way of this whole process of you being able to connect with yourself? The monkey brain. Or, as they call it in psycho-cybernetics, automatic negative thoughts. You know, just random thoughts. This is why you got to train and condition the mind. This is what affirmations do. This is what writing does. This is what having positive conversations with you do, absorbing positive information, and yes, breathing. Gotta do the breathing. So underestimated. And we can't even get into that right now. But throughout your day, you need to be taking, just step to the side, take 9 breaths, you know, for example, you know, in through the nose, out through the mouth. These kind of things help reset the autonomic nervous system, which regulates stress on different levels, to kind of like give you a chance to reset, to clear your mind, you know. And it doesn't just do it in that moment. This is something that you have to have discipline with and be fully intentional with. That's why I say 9 breaths, because not everybody can meditate or do breathing for 30 minutes, let alone 5 minutes straight. That's just the society that we live in, instant gratification, and this does not work like that. So this is definitely for the mature mind. But breathing, I promise you, if you start breathing, 2 weeks, you'll start noticing a difference in the way you think and the control that you have on your mind, and being able to handle some of those scattered thoughts that come in, you know, or those thoughts that come in, you're just angry, you're not even really sure why you're angry or upset or whatever the case may be. You'll have a better relationship with yourself because of the self-care that you've been putting in to keep control of that monkey brain and stand in the right frame of mind to be able to move forward truthfully. And so basically that's just one way to look at self-care, to condition the subconscious mind for better results. Is there anything else that I wanted to say on this one? Because I already kind of went a little longer than I thought I was. Oh, all right. So this is something I always have done, you know, I'm always talking about thoughts, habits, behavior, character. That's how it works. The thoughts you have create habits. The habits you have create behavior. The behavior you have creates the character. On the same flip side of it, on the science, and then even getting into some of the esoteric side of things, thoughts create chemicals. Chemicals create hormones. Hormones are in the blood. The blood is pumped through the heart. And this, as a result of this, this is what you get. What you feed yourself is who you are. Okay, so the most important part of what I just said about that, because we'll get into that more later, is that your thoughts are not describing the situation. It's not describing reality. Your thoughts are creating reality. So you have to keep control of what you're thinking if you want to be able to have authority over your life. So I'll leave it there. Like I said, I'm just going to just keep talking. And as I'm talking, I'm going to get more organized in my delivery. But yeah, like, I welcome the feedback. I know there's certain people that will understand what I'm trying to relate, and those are the people that I'm trying to reach out to. So have a good week. See y'all soon. Peace.